Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Crystal Water Experience podcast, where every week I bring on a new guest that shares information that's not mainstream. Maybe it's their own personal story, which is the case today, because I have the wonderful Brandon Childers on here. And we met somewhere on social media because I was seeing what he was doing and he was seeing what I was doing. And he very kindly said, "Hey, can I come on your podcast?" And I was like, "Brilliant. Tell me about your story." And when he told me the story, I was honestly absolutely blown away. It's a brilliant story, everyone. So I really would like you to hear this, especially if you've gone through life and you think that your capability and your ability to process information in your brain, if you think you've got to your 50s or 60s or 70s or whatever it is, and you think that that is it, think again. It could be toxicity that is holding you back, and it doesn't matter how long this has been going on. Remarkable things can happen when you start removing the toxins from your life. And this story is going to blow your mind. So welcome, Brandon. Welcome to the Crystal Water Experience podcast.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. It's amazing. I've been looking forward to this all week.
Great. I'm doing really great, and it's a pleasure to have you on. We had a little bit of trouble, first of all, recording this episode, but it seems to be flowing really nicely now. And just from your accent, we just have to say that at the moment you're in Australia, which you can't tell from your accent, but originally you're from the US, right? So maybe you could start your story right in the beginning, where you shared it with me, maybe when you were 4 years old.
I was 4 years old. I mean, that's when I got shot. So fast forwarding, I mean, the 4-year-old is a part of when I started discovering stuff 5 years ago. And I started detoxing and cleaning things out. It took me back into these timelines of my past where I started putting a lot of the pieces of the puzzle together to these transformations that were going on as I was detoxing and getting rid of things and flourishing my body with better food choices and cleaner water, etc. So back in 2019, I got serotonin syndrome from two things, one from the VA, one from an emergency room for something that I had going on with my finger. Fast forwarding about a week, that serotonin syndrome kicked in. I started losing my teeth. My skull caved in on both sides. My skull was really soft, and I mean, you could just wiggle the skull around. My left arm went paralyzed from the shoulder down. I had no movement in my arm or my fingers. I was going through the healthcare system. They flew in a couple of doctors from California and sent me to every clinic at the hospital, infectious disease. And this went on for 3.5 months. I lived with horrible serotonin syndrome. I had to have someone come into my home every day, physically pick me up, get me to a walker where I could get around the house, or to the restroom, to my recliner, and basically sit and watch TV all day long in excruciating pain. And then thankfully, one of my friends and his wife was in the medical field, and they heard what was going on, and they said, "Give me your signs and your symptoms. We'll check it out." An hour or two later, they called me back and said, "Stop taking this. You have severe serotonin syndrome." And I was like, "Wait, what is that?" So I got online. Wow, it's like reading a book about myself, every sign, every symptom, da 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 da. And I started researching online, how do I detox from serotonin syndrome? And as I was going through, it would take me to most of the time YouTube channels and stuff, but I wasn't finding the information I really wanted to find from the speaker, but I would go through the comments and I was hearing what people were saying in the comments, and people started sharing other information, and they're like, "Have you looked into this and this and this, or you should go research this and this?" And I kind of just blew it off as nonsense because it was stuff that I'd never heard of. And then I'd get to another channel, another podcaster, another presenter, and rolling in the comments, and I'm like, "Wait, hold on a minute. There's a lot of people talking about different things, more so in the comments than what was being presented on the screen." And they're like, "If you really want to go find some good stuff, you need to go over to Telegram and research this and this and this and this." And I was like, "Okay, bet." So I went to Telegram, checked it out, signed in, started punching in detox. And as I did, tons of channels started coming up, and I just joined channels. And I was like, okay, let me listen in. And they would have live chats. And I was, okay, what are y'all talking about? Distilled water fasting, all different types of remedies, a mess. They were talking about Dr. Jennifer Daniels' protocols, Dr. Matt Vollmer's protocols, tons and tons of information that was nonstop. The 1 Minute Cure book that I read. And so I was like, okay, I need to start my first step. And for me, from the research I did that I thought was best for me, is I wanted to start fasting with distilled water only. And one of the testimonies that I'd watched was a guy that was in his early 60s. He was a previous biker guy, had been in a couple of knife fights, had some serious scar tissue going on, da 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 da. He did 40 days of distilled water with one green apple every day. Share his testimony every day, and my jaw dropped to my desk. I was like, you got to be kidding me. This guy went from looking 70 to looking 45, and he was like 62 or 63 years old. And I was like, wow, okay, I start with detoxing right there is my clue. So I started my very first fast with a 5 day distilled water, one green apple every day. Day 4 and 5 was kind of rough, but I got past it. I waited a few days and then I went straight into another 5 day fast. And while I was doing the fast, I was online researching, still listening in on some of these chats and talking to some people that I'd met along the way. And then one thing led to another, and I was in a few chat groups and I was talking to people all over the world. I mean, literally all over the world within a few weeks. Real people sharing their testimonies about detoxing, about these books that they were following, like Mark Grennan's book, Jim Humble's book, Dr. Andre Scalker's book, Curing with Cayenne Pepper by Richard Schulze. And so I started getting all of these books and reading them a little bit at a time, but I was still struggling because I believed that when I was 12 years old, I was vaccine injured. I don't believe it. I know for a fact that I was. Because prior to this shot that my mother took my and my sister to, I was part of the book club, 25 books, 50 books, 100 books, Math Wizard Awards, soccer team, track, knew most of the Bible by heart. And then after we went and saw our family practitioner, I told my mother, I said, that did something to me. I don't feel right. And she said, whatever, you got the devil's blood anyways. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she said, I shouldn't let him give you that transfusion.
So your mum thought it was something that happened to you 4 years previously, when really the symptoms of what you were saying, something changed very quickly after having the injection, right?
And she based that on because it was her religion and her faith. She didn't want me to have it. So it was down to the minutes and she finally let them said, go ahead and give it to him. And she didn't like that she gave into it. But anyways, I was like, you got to make that make sense. You can't say that. Fast forwarding after that shot, within 30-ish days, I don't remember exactly because it was a long time ago, but I mean, quickly, I could feel the difference. My teachers didn't even have to ask me. If they said my name in class, they knew I would read the whole entire time until the bell would ring for the next class because my teachers didn't even have to ask. If they called my name, I would read the whole entire hour until the bell would ring for the next class. But after that, I noticed that my reading started suffering, like I had a learning disability. I started stuttering, and my handprints would be on my desk. If I take my hands up, I would have a sweaty palm print still on my desk. I had a lot of like nervousness in my hands. I had nervousness in my feet. When I get home after school, I had very wet socks, like just very nervous. And the tension in my classrooms and I had one teacher that he thought I was messing with him and I was playing around. And he had a big gold class ring on, and he would walk around and he would kind of like clunk me, tap me on the back of the head, and be like, stop messing around, children, and read. And I'm like, sir, I am reading. I don't know why this is happening. But so, anyways, the grades kept dropping. And then I started getting in all kinds of trouble, shoplifting things, and got picked up. And my mom she worked for the governor for the state, and she had to take off work, come down, deal with all these legal issues. Then I ended up in the court system, in and out of school. I was at 5 different boys' homes. And so even after the stuff with the school, I started getting in trouble with the law. I'd been picked up several times. I actually ended up in the court system. I actually ended up being dropped out from school. I had to go back fighting and just mischief all around for years and years and years. Then I decided to go into the military. I had to go to a community college, get my associate's degree to be able to get into the military. And when I was in the military, I stuttered. When I read stuff and I studied for Soldier of the Month Board and NCO of the Month Board and all of these different things, I had to read everything 20, 30 times. I mean, it was so bad that for some of my boards, I would have to make index cards with the question on the front and the answer on the back and just read because comprehension was just horrible all the way through the military for the most part. Fast forwarding all the way to the serotonin syndrome, and I start reading all this stuff and I start detoxing and I follow after just a couple of detoxes, I start with MS and then I go straight to Dr. Jennifer. And wow, when I did the Dr. Jennifer Daniels protocol, it took away so much stuff. I cleaned so much stuff out of the body that within 2 or 3 days, I don't remember exactly, I got online and started downloading books and reading books again and couldn't stop reading books. And today I still have 7,893 books in my digital library and I've read like 10,000 pages in the last 5 years. Can't stop reading, just nonstop, 10, 12, 14, 16 hours a day. And some people in my channel chats, they would come in and drop in every day a couple times. And they're like, Brandon, what book are you reading now? What page are you on? How many pages have you read today? I'm like, I don't even know, probably 300. And I would have 15 tabs open on my left screen and probably 30 tabs on my right screen of YouTube videos. And I was listening to podcasts of people teaching people how to detox their body while I'm reading a medical book on the left screen. And I'm like, wait, hold on a minute. And I started remembering reading prior to that experience when I was 12 years old. I mean, it was like flashbacks of that excitement and that joy and that learning. And I'm like, wait, hold on a minute. My friends and family knew that there was nothing I hated worse than reading from 12 to, and I was 46, 47 at the time. So all of those years I was known by everybody that I couldn't stand to read. And I wasn't going to read anything. If you send me something, I'm not reading it. I lived the rat race of life, fast food, alcohol, drugs, you name it, everything. And then when I started cleaning it out, I wanted none of it. I was researching living electrical food. I was researching grounding to the earth, the negative ion properties of the earth. I was researching sun gazing. I read the sun gazing books. I started sun gazing daily, was eating fruits and vegetables, cut out a lot of probably 80 or 90% of everything. Then I started doing 7-day fast, 9-day fast, the fruit fast, juice fast. And each step along the way, I became closer, connected, I started watching birds and going out and just looking and admiring the beauty of nature. And I realized that it was cleaning out the toxins in the body, in the blood, the gut, the brain, everything to get back to nature as it was intended to be. Started getting into chats and other people were sharing testimony and I'm saying, hey, maybe you should take a peek at Dr. So-and-so's protocol or this book or that book. I wouldn't give medical advice, but I would lead them in the direction to say some really good information and they would go take a peek at it and make their own decision. But many people were coming into the chat that had been doing the same thing as I was doing. And they're like, wow, I can't stop researching. I've been detoxing too for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, whatever. And they were doing the same thing. And I'm like, there's something here that when we clean the system out, we advance ourselves and we leave that carnal thought process of so many things behind that never was us to begin with. That was influenced by the low voltage in the body, the malnourishment in the body from a fast food lifestyle, ultra processed food. I mean, it's all out right now. I mean, it's talked about all over the world, especially in America. And people don't realize, like I did, that going through that phase, that I thought I was just living a life like everybody else lives. Okay, I may not be doing what the Joneses are doing or they're doing or whatever. I'm not going to the gym every day, but that's not what everybody does. But when you dive really deep into it and think about it, it's like, wait, hold on a minute. There's a lot of things that influence us to keep us in certain places that we don't need to be there. We can easily drink some good, clean, real water that helps us detox. We can eat some living electrical food and stop a lot of the crap, and everybody's life would change. We can make the world a better place little by little, step by step. And it doesn't take a big change at first. You can make little tiny changes in your life that will make a significant impact. And it's just unbelievable. I just think that things like this need to be shared far and wide across the world.
Wonderful. There's a few things that I want to go back on because I mean this story is incredible. I mean, literally you were diagnosed with a learning disability. You knew that you had one. That's limited your life experience and what you're able to do. And then what you're saying is it also influenced your way of thinking. And there is a lot of information out there now that's starting to say that your gut biome or the health of your gut determines your mental state. And in fact, I've seen quite a lot of doctors that say that all mental health issues are linked to gut issues. That's literally what they are saying. So when your gut is well, and it isn't just a case of taking some prebiotics, probiotics, because the way that I describe it is you're putting these, say, friendly bacteria into your body because you're missing them, but you're missing them not because you're not putting them in, it's because the environment that you're putting them in is deadly to them. They can't live in it. They cannot live in your acidic body. They cannot live it when you're constantly feeding it the food that doesn't favour your bacteria that do all this good work, your gut biome that's working with you. You have to nourish your gut biome, which is the same food that nourishes your body. So you fix the gut, you fix the brain, you fix the thinking and the outlook. But the first step of that is to stop putting toxins in your body and start flushing these things out. And so what I wanted to ask you was, the huge payload that is toxins that is delivered in these shots, and this is starting to come out now, but I would say it's still very small information. And although it's coming out thick and fast in the US, in the UK, not at all, not at all. So it's very behind here. Mainstream, nothing. In fact, they're just really ridiculing, saying that kind of Trump or is just doing this because he's a bit crazy. It's ridiculous. However, like you were saying, outside of the mainstream, everybody's sharing this information. So you won't find it on the BBC or kind of those, channels which are controlled and mainstream media that's controlled, but the people themselves are sharing information on uncensored platforms. So my question to you is, if tomorrow you could click your fingers and the water coming out the tap wasn't toxic and the food wasn't toxic, how quickly do you think there would be a shift in, say, intelligence and a reduction in mental health with the whole population of the planet?
Oh, it would be massive. It would be massive. And you're right. And that's what I read in tons of literature. Your gut is your second brain. And I even went and I learned the deeper levels of it. I ordered the PETA strips and I know there's several different variations and different misinformation out there about it too, but to get a general guideline and a basis for as I was changing my diet little by little and incorporating different things to kind of see where I was at on a pH level by urine only, midstream first of the day. And I read that from other literature too, but I could feel almost spontaneous the changes with just the clean water, just changing the food. I mean, going from 5.5 or 6, 6.5 sometimes to 7, 7.5. Just like, wow. And and I lost 89 pounds in 12 months without even trying.
Wow.
No gym, no nothing. I'm literally about 4 pounds less than I was when I graduated a field artillery basic training in 1992.
This is something you talk about, isn't it? So let's just talk about the pH shift. So when you're measuring your pH, you're measuring your urine and your saliva, and your saliva is supposed to be acidic, and your urine's supposed to be alkaline, right?
Well, your saliva, I mean, from my understanding and from a lot that I read, your saliva can change a lot during the day depending on what you eat or drink.
Mhm.
So I strictly stayed with first urine of the day midstream, and I watched my pH change from 5.5 to, I mean, sometimes 8 and then back down to around 7, 7.5. And I've had several times that it was at 9 too, but for a short period of time because I was doing a lot of alkaline fruits during the day. And I drink a lot of coconut water now too, that keeps me very alkaline. But I could also tell that, and I wanted to gauge it based on a lot of literature that I was reading on the negative ion charge of grounding and stuff, because that actually brings you into alkaline too when you ground to the earth for a good, I mean, even literature shows 10 minutes, but 30 minutes is even better. You can get a great negative ion charge and change your alkalinity with barefoot in the grass and get some sunshine on your skin and get that positive ion charge or plasma charge. It changes everything. And you just feel amazing afterwards, like you're solar, like you just went outside and got a full charge and can conquer anything. And then it's like nothing can stop me. What
I
am
love
I doing next?
I absolutely love that, and maybe that's one of the reasons that you went to Australia, because you could maybe get some access to some good grounding and some good
Oh, I
sun.
do. It's yes.
I was just looking outside here. We haven't had the sun for days. It's constantly covered with what I can only presume is a chemical blanket. So we
Whoa.
have to find ourselves, we
Well,
have
and
to
I
find
and I
other
kind of
ways.
guide people in other channels and stuff if they don't have, because a lot of people have that a lot of thought process of the weather, the snow, different conditions and stuff. But you can hammer a half-inch copper pipe down in the ground, 6, 7, 8, 10 inches or whatever, and put your hand on it. And when you do, you get a one-for-one reading of that negative ion charge will still give it to you. And you put the multimeter on the other side of your body as fast as you can touch it. It's faster than measurable instrumentation can read it. Just going through you. I've done it with 2 and 3 people where they got shoes on, and then not. And then you touch the baby's skin, and you can get the negative ion charge through everybody as long as you have skin to skin contact. The earth is just a powerful, along with the sun, it's just an energetic food source by itself. It's just amazing. And we need to get out of the house. We need to get away from the lights and the toxins and the environment and get out in nature and get back to some real nature and we'll thrive. It's
But
mandatory. It's not.
it is not an option,
Sorry,
is
go
it?
ahead.
So I was just
Yes.
going to say, so if all these toxins were removed and people had access, how quickly do you think the whole thing would shift? You know, in a matter of weeks?
Oh yeah, I think so. And I mean, just what I'm watching and seeing people with the learning phase now. I mean, when I go in and I read, I follow a lot of people on multiple different platforms that are into health and grounding and sunshine and da 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 da. And reading through the comments, people are waking up in the hundreds of thousands. I mean, it's literally nowadays like 7 out of 10 talking about how fantastic it is to get away from these processed foods and have some good electrical foods and vegetables and grounding in sunshine and clean water with and coconut water, you name it. It's a game changer for everybody. I mean, I've had many people come into channels on Telegram and stuff, and they're like, wow, small changes. And I feel changes with grounding. I feel changes with getting more sunshine. I feel changes with doing detox baskets or whatever it is. It's all game changers. And when you throw several of them at it, your whole life can change. Everybody's life can change for the better. And you will find that you will not only be closer or connected with nature, you have a different feeling of joy and love and kindness for others, unity instead of division and all of the negative energy that swipe the screen and say, yeah, not today. I'm not dealing with all of that drama. Y'all can have that. Right now, I'm focused on me and people, and we bring love, we share, we learn, we teach each other to the real information to learn and discover how to be better people, not only for ourselves, but for our children, our grandchildren. So not only for that, but for ourselves and society, so we can make the world a better place. And it starts with each one of us. And a lot of people have that thought process of, what can I do? Well, you can't do a whole lot. I can't do a whole lot, and he and she, but we can all do better in many different things of life. It's time to really tune back on the entertainment stuff and tune into the vital and important things that make the world run and make us better people, healthier people, energetic as tribal people. And that's the way we need to get back to.
Absolutely brilliant. So I've said this for a long time that, people that perhaps took the injection or don't know what's going on in the world, people call them horrible names like sheep and things like this. And I thoroughly disagree with that. I see those people with a huge amount of compassion. They're poisoned. These are poisoned people, and poisoned people think like this. And I'm sorry, but if you are calling people names, you are poisoned. Because when you are clean, you don't see the world like that because you have a much more higher cognitive capacity to understand what's going on. So when you are throwing names there, it's a reflection of you where you are on your detox journey, and you need to do some work for that. And the only thing that we can do is work on ourselves. We keep saying this, and people have been programmed to believe that working on yourself and making yourself better is somehow shameful because we should be doing things for other people. I would argue that every single interaction you have with people every single day is influencing the world around you. And if you're bar humbug and, judgmental and nasty and things like this, for whatever reason, you are having a massive negative impact on your environment because when you influence this person negatively, they go on and carry on and repeat the pattern. Somebody has to be the buffer. Somebody has to be the person when somebody calls you a name, calm it down, you reflect it, you don't pass it on. We need more people to do that. And the more that people can see, such as I can see this new term now, leftist and, far right, they're never going to get over this whole thing if they just keep calling each other names. It's like you're pawns in the game. And until you guys heal and stop being fed information about how to feel and start feeling it yourself, we're not going to progress. But like you say, the people that have gone on this detox journey and have removed themselves from the control system, which is in the food, they can then see. Now, a lot of people do it for health benefits. I feel sick, so I do this. They have no idea the massively positive impact it then has on their entire life, their whole outlook, their mental health, their ability to think. And so, do you think food has been used as a weapon against the people? Do you think this is deliberate? Or not everybody in it knows it, right? Everybody's still on that. The person in the corner shop, for instance, was saying, oh, I don't drink alcohol, I don't do this. And I said, you run a corner shop and there's not one product in here that isn't toxic. So well done you for not poisoning yourself. But every single person that comes in this shop, you're a drug dealer. You're literally a drug dealer. And they looked at themselves and was like, but I have to feed my family. He says, this could be a different shop. You could do things differently. You are part of this, but you've somehow absolved yourself as responsibility. How do you see all that?
Well, let me back up to the first thing you said, and I agree. And I tell people this all the time when they get onto that whole kick of I told you so and all of that to the shots and everything. I'm like, whoa, back up. We don't need none of that here. You can take that stuff somewhere else. Everybody knows somebody That's a part of all of this stuff that's going on. Brothers, sisters, aunts, nieces, cousins, or whatever. Nobody needs that. I actually left a really good channel with a lot of people because it kept playing a video of "I told you so." And I'm like, wait, hold on a minute. You got a lot of people in here that did do that. And how rude and disrespectful to your own members when you're playing that garbage. I don't want anything to do with all of that stuff. And the same with what you're saying with the Democrat and the Republicans and stuff. I mean, to see that it's of the same bird, but when I see these people lash out like, oh, I can't stand them, da 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 da, I'm like, hold on, hello. And friends even on my Facebook, they're like lashing out at them. I'm like, I have family members on both sides, and I will protect the family members on both sides. Stop playing the games because we all have family and friends on both sides. So all you're talking and jabbering about is destroying all of us. And we have to recognize that and skip past that and say, there's a lot more important things that we could be doing than playing drama, television, da 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 da. And what was the last part of that question that you asked me? Sorry,
Was
because
it
that
about
gets me
food?
riled up when I
Was
hear
it
people
about
talk
food?
about that stuff.
I was talking about, sorry, I didn't look, about food being weaponized. And is it
I
weaponized?
don't know if it
Go on.
right intentionally started out that way, but it's grown so massive. I mean, I don't want to point fingers or whatever, but no matter what, many people have known for a very long time that this stuff is not good. And when you dive into it and you start really cleaning your body out and your brain starts working the way that it's supposed to, you start seeing and recognizing a lot of patterns and thought processes and like, wait, hold on a minute. I remember going through this phase of my life and I was consuming a lot of this. And I remember this little phase of my life where I was going through this, whatever it was, that I was consuming a lot of this. So these different toxins out there, whether it's fast food or the grocery store or whatever, is altering our behavior long term. And I mean, I don't mean to sound boastful about it or whatever, but when I go to the grocery store now, I can walk around and watch people. And I love people because people are amazing. But I see patterns with people and I can almost diagnose them looking at them. And then I see their cart and I'm like, you have that because of that. And you have that because of that, and you can see it all around you. And I'm like, dang, I remember when that was me. I had that shopping cart with all of that during those time frames and all of that during those other time frames that led me down places I didn't need to be. And now when I fill it up with mostly fruits and mostly vegetables and a completely different world we live in. And I tell some of my buddies and family members now, it's like I left from a world to another place that I didn't even know existed. I thought I was living my best life, and I was far from living my best life. I was trapped in a place of toxic overload. I was trapped in a place of negative energy, dark, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't a healthy place for myself. It wasn't a healthy place for my three children. It wasn't a healthy place for my friends and family to be a good influence to say, wait, hold on a minute. Even if you don't stop, just back off a little bit and go learn about detoxing, fasting. I read a great book. I think his name was Sheldon Herbert or Herbert Sheldon about fasting. And I read it from front to back and I was like, wow, this is fascinating. That's kept me going. I don't even know how many I've done now, dozens of 3, 5, 7, 9 day fasts. And I mean, the literature and all of the proof is out there, but we have to kind of get away from the traps and go read and do some things and better ourselves. It's important. It's important for us, important for our children, and important. And I want to see everybody. I don't care what they believe on politics or any other stuff. I want to see everybody with positive energy and thrive.
Beautifully, beautifully said. I really advocate for everybody. I don't really care where they are on their journey. We have all been in places that we, now looking back, know that we shouldn't have been there. But we didn't just decide one day to do it. It's a very slow burnout. And like you say, when you're in those environments, it feels normal. Humans are so good at adapting to their environment. then even though people are living really kind of poor quality lives, they're adapting to that, thinking that it's fine because it stops you getting traumatized. So you think, yeah, this is normal. It isn't until you take yourself out of it that you realize, well, my quality of life now is much superior to before. So, is there a particular time that you can think of when you did something or you reacted or something like that in such a different way that you'd done for the previous however many years of your life before, and you felt some sense of, wow, this is a massive change in me, and I didn't have to force it. I wasn't doing it because I've followed some therapist. I actually wanted to behave differently, and I'm glad that I've made the change. Was there any big thing like that for you?
Probably several, but one that really sticks out a lot is I have a very strong feeling for elderly people more now. And we have a woman in her early 80s next door, and I see her get in a cab and I see different things happen, and I have a lot more compassion. And I'm like, hey, can I help you? If you need me to run you to the store or whatever, because she fell down actually last time, because I can keep an eye on you, and if you go to fall, I can catch you. But just more compassion for things. Not that I didn't ever have one before, it's just a stronger compassion for others. So yeah, I mean it's and timeless, and just giving my hours in service to others to help them, not to give them medical advice, but to send them to a place and say, hey, like I talked about earlier, I could do all day long. And people are like, wow, why do you still do what you do? Because I want to see the changes in the world that need to happen. And I have the time to do it. If it takes time, then I'll spend the time. And it's tough sometimes. It's not easy because I've had many, many chats. I mean, just so many of them. And you get a lot of regulars and you get people that have not gotten to certain places. So it gets where it takes your energy sometimes because all of this negative energy going on in their life. But I still open my ears and I listen and I'm there for them. And if that's all I can be for that moment is a listener and they feel better from it, then I give that time. And I would rather do that than to give it to a football game or some nonsense.
Beautifully said. Actually, let's get on to that topic now. So, you're currently retired, but you give your time now based on your incredible experience, and you give your time on platforms which are not censored in order to guide people to information. You don't tell people what to do. I mean, I don't do that either. People have to make their own choices. This is all about self-empowerment. You have to do your research. And I know that it takes time and everyone's busy, but if you start cutting out the things that really don't matter, like watching Netflix series or watching the news or things like that, you'll find some time. And you don't have to change today. You just take some time to research. But the important thing that we need to say is we're trying to get this information out on mainstream channels. So everybody listening to this, we can't tell you what to do on here, because if we do, this chat will be cut off. We were talking about this before. I've had a strike from YouTube. I had to go through YouTube rehabilitation because it was trying to tell me there were certain things I weren't allowed to talk about. Now, I'm going to tell you what the topics are, but I'm not going to tell you what I said, which got me the strike. And then I had to do some online training to get back in. This is a state of things at the moment. I was talking about hydrogen peroxide. There are other things that we can talk about, such as MMS and turpentine, but it said in that whole learning, if you start talking about this stuff, you're not allowed back on the platform. So we're not necessarily mention all the things that it does, but we're going to tell you that there are places you can find this information out. And this is what you do on a daily basis, don't you, Brandon? You are devoting your time helping people find this information for them to go ahead and decide what's best for them. And you've got some amazing stories, right? So perhaps you can talk about where people can go and find you to be able to find this information, and also some of the stories.
Yes, oh, there's so much to talk about with that. You can Telegram is first place to go. Obviously, I don't even know what it's up to. The last time I checked was maybe half a year ago or so, and it's like 1/5 of the world population is on that platform now. It's just beyond. But if you go to Telegram, you can really search in Telegram for about any topic that you want. and find a channel that deals specifically with that, whether it's Dr. Jennifer Daniels, MMS, MSM, which is sulfur crystals. I mean, you just can go through a list, detoxing, water fasting. If you punch in fasting and detoxing, you'll probably find probably 700 of things that I posted and shared with other people. Self-Help Emporium channel, Healthy Discussions channel. There's so many channels on there. Dr. Amanda Vollmer, Dr. Andrew Kaufman, Dr. Tom Cowan. I mean, the list goes on. Dr. Samantha Bailey and her husband, Dr. Mark Bailey. But just search in there. Just search and start low and slow. And like Dr. Whitaker was saying about turning the other stuff off, just find some balance. I tell my son-in-law, my daughter, if you just find 50-50 balance in your life, that 50% of your spare time is for entertainment, and go have a good time with your friends, hang out with your family or whatever, and let the other 50% of your spare time be involved in learning more, understanding more, figuring out what fasting means, what detoxing means, the truth about distilled water, living water, structured water, grounding to the earth. You just punch those keywords in and you will find more information than you can ever read. But the good stuff's going to pop up right there at the top, and just click on it, join the channel. And there's people that I've probably in 150 channels right now, but there's people in there that will spend their whole day, every day for free to help guide you in the right place. All of their time, every single day to guide you to some good information. Now, I'm not saying that you have to follow them. Check everything from both sides. Don't accept one, because there's some misinformation on Telegram as well too. But do it from both sides and tap into people and say, hey, go out there that know and can say, yes, 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 no, 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 and this is why. And they'll back it up. They won't just talk about it, they bring receipts. And when you talk to people that are telling you things, talk to the people and listen to the ones that aren't just saying things. They're bringing receipts and showing you where the literature is that says, no, you probably shouldn't be doing that. No, you probably shouldn't be doing that because da 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 da, and it shows it there instead of just being some information from somebody that's not sure about it. So, and you'll know, listen to yourself and listen to your body and listen to your mind and watch people's reactions. You'll know the ones that have your best interest at just trying to push and sell something to you.
This is the point, isn't it? This is always going to be about you. But the beautiful thing about Telegram is it's a community. Instead of going to the doctor and say, hey, what is wrong for me? You're getting one person's, it says in the book, I need to tell you this. You're actually in that community group. People are saying, well, I tried this and this happened, and I did this and this happened. And, there is more than one way to skin a cat, everybody. There isn't just the beautiful thing about this whole thing is it's all based on charge, which is why pH is so important, potential hydrogen, right? And people don't understand because in our 3D science, the way everything's taught is chemistry is separate to physics. Nobody talks about quantum. And so they don't understand that this is a relationship really to do with your charge, your overall charge, which then results in your overall electrical potential in your body. It's all related to magnetic fields, electricity, and the electromagnetic fields of the earth. It all is. So there's different ways to achieve this detoxing. There's different ways, there's different types of things that you need to do. And so don't be surprised if you find there's different ways of doing this, but you can speak to the community, ask them, especially because you've been through, quite a number of different detoxes. You can share, well, I did this and then I did this and I've done this, and people can then start working out the order. But one thing that both me and you really agree on is that when you start with the distilled water, remineralize it, charge it. And by the way, guys, there's many different ways to charge your water. You can leave it out in the sun. You can stir it with a copper rod. You can add things to it. I'm not going to talk about that because I'll get banned. But there's different ways of charging that water to get its structure right.
I even have mine grounded.
You can bury it in the ground.
I have my water vessel, a glass water vessel
Beautiful.
outside. I put my structured water in it, and then I run a 12 gauge copper wire to the inside of the water, so it's getting the negative ion charge to the water while it's in the sun charging.
And exactly, that's beautiful. We've got a little experiment going at the moment where we've buried these deep in the forest in the ground. And then we're going to go back and then we're going to go get it. Because this is also not just about kind of physical charge, this is also about information encoded in hydrogen, which is also found within the earth and might not necessarily be in your back garden. It totally depends on where you are. In the UK, they're building houses which are more like rabbit hutches and have these gardens, and there's so many cables and things running through their garden. I don't think the gardens are grounded at all. They have to literally, you got to go down at least like half a meter into the ground to actually get proper grounding effects because of how they're building these properties. So there's a difference between what an electrician might call grounding and what we might call grounding. But the deeper you go, the more chances you've got of it.
Right, and that's the way I have mine. It's a 5 foot copper, 99.9%, and I have it down about 18 inches, and then I have the 12 gauge coming off it into the water.
Perfect, exactly. And actually, could you talk about this a little bit? What you were talking about being able to measure your charge. I mean, I've got this, which I have next to me. And by the way, guys, this is a fun thing for you to do, right? Get yourself some pH strips and test your urine after doing different things, right? Eat some things with sugar, see what happens to your urine. Eat something that's got life force energy and electrical potential in it. See what happens. Drink tap water, see what happens. Because you don't have to believe anything. It's quite easy to test this stuff and start seeing what is affecting your alkalinity. But this is another thing you can play with, which what I really often do. How do you use yours?
I have the exact same one, and I take it out and I poke the negative into I think it's on the veranda, but I poke the negative into the ground, and then I hold the positive between two fingers, and then I step off my shoes onto the earth. And I usually measure about 80,000 millivolts of current in my body, but I test the same thing. So after I drink certain things or eat certain things or I ground for longer periods of time, then I measure it to see where I'm at. And I'll get the launcher and sun charge, but I even take a 12 gauge and I have it going about 8 or 10 inches in the ground under the veranda with 12 gauge coming up, wrapped around the chairs on the veranda. So even when I'm resting or relaxing,
You're
my arm
charging.
is on the copper wire and I'm charging as I'm just chilling out. So,
Brilliant.
and it's amazing. I hammered one in my youngest son, Jacob's house, and he had some tension and stuff. And he didn't want to take his shoes off and be on the earth. And I said, I went to Home Depot in America, went over, hammered it in the ground. And I said, now just put your hand on it and hold it. And I said, for 10 minutes and just see how you feel. And he got to about 5 minutes and he went like this. And I said, you feel that? And he's like, that. I don't know, but I feel relaxed. I mean, it just calmed him down because it relieves some of that static charge overload in the body that he was at from all the stuff that's around us that's building up that synthetic charge, and you get rid of that synthetic charge and you're like, wow.
It's a
So
lot
I mean
better.
it's amazing to connect, and once you start connecting, and I can't remember the doctor's name, I want to say it's Chin Lee. He's an amazing guy, but he takes a 81-year-old patient, pricks her finger, and her red blood cells are all stacking. I mean, just
Okay.
squished together like a stack of dimes. And then one of his staff members takes her outside, helps her take her shoes off. She walks just for 10 minutes, puts her socks and shoes back on, comes in, pricks another finger, puts it under the exact same microscope at the same time. Every red blood cell separates. And he talks about it. You just freed the red blood cells. But what he don't say, and what's very vital, is if you look at the red blood cells before, they were dark. There was black centers on it, and now they're glowing, and the cell membrane almost doubles in thickness, and there's almost a halo of a charge around every single cell in the body, and it just is powerful.
That's amazing. I've seen that. I've got a dark force microscope here and I've tried that experiment and it really does work. And then the other thing that I've tried is that you can measure it the way that you did, but also you can, if you turn it to millivolts, you can measure the charge going through your own body. So I just kind of lick my fingers, turn it onto millivolts, put max so I can see what the max one is, and I hold, right, these just for a second. You have to be aware because this has got a battery, it actually drains your charge. So you've got to see it initially because otherwise it's just going to go down, down, down. That's why I put it on max. But interestingly, So then if I like have any particular type of water, I test it before and after. I test it when I get up in the morning, after I've done certain things. So I'm starting to see the voltage of my own body as well, just by the things that I'm doing. So this is now informing me about what's going on. But then when I take this outside and I put the two like in the ground, I can read the millivolts out the ground, and I find that if the grass is cut and very short, not very high millivolts. But if I go more under the shrubs in the kind of more shaded area, put it in, lots of millivolts. I go to certain
Oh,
trees.
wow.
You go, it's amazing. You go to certain trees and they'll be like, say, 100. I go to the one next door. It's an older tree, bigger root system, more in the earth, 220 millivolts. And then you start thinking, wow, so these older trees with these deep root systems, and especially trees like yew trees, which have more roots under the ground than they do on the top, they're getting all this charge from the ground. And that's why when you're holding them, that's why tree hugging works. Now, I told my kind of physics friend this, and it was like kind of mainstream physics. And he goes, oh no, bark is an insulator. I was like, it's not. You can measure the charge. That's why when you hug a
But
tree, so we don't have to start listening to what we've done in ChatGPT or whatever. Get one of these, they're like £8. You can go around, go and measure some stuff, everybody. See what's in the world. You don't have to.
you can actually even
Sorry.
measure the food and drinks that you're intaking to see if it has air voltage when you have more electron donors in your life than electron stealers. And Dr. Tennett's been doing amazing work for many, many years explaining and showing electron donors and electron stealers and how effective it is on your life. And when you have more electron donors, you'll have a way better lifestyle. Slowly, by a little bit at a time, get rid of the electron stealers, and you'll just keep climbing up of happiness, love, success. Everything is all around you, and everything is in the palm of your hand.
Be-
You just got to do it step by step.
Beautifully said. And negatively charged hydrogen, negatively charged things. Those are electrons. That's what we're talking about. It's exchange. What creates electricity is this cycle of negative and positive charge creating this electricity. And if you haven't got enough negatively charged ions, you can't do that cycle. And that's what you're running on. It's the electricity you are relying on. So the more electron, as you say, donors, negatively charged you've got in the life, the better you would be. And it's not just in your food. You're right, it's in the ground. It's this electrical potential difference between the charges. And I tell you, and when you start detoxing, you become much more sensitive to your environment. Because people are very toxic, they're not very sensitive. They can't feel changes. They go, oh, I can't feel anything. And it's because you're intoxicated, okay? You kind of, your senses are kind of dumbed down. My friend made this for me, and it's made it's made of in the cubit length. So it's a proper kind of length to width. She's put this on, and then I just put it around my neck, instantly felt more energized. Right? It's not just because it's copper, it's because it's copper and it's the right length. But I can feel this stuff now. She goes, what do you think? Now, if I would send this to, say, my dad would go, I don't know, because he doesn't know.
I studied the tensor effect during this journey too. I've
Yes, she
made
did.
several copper, I actually wear copper from a Healing with Magnetism book. But when you twist that copper up and you put it at a 45 degree, it calls the tensor effect. It amplifies the energy by like 100 or something. If you go back and look at some old hospitals and stuff in hidden literature from like the 1700s, it was beds that had those cubits and copper rings around it, and they would slide it up. So if you came in for liver issue or whatever, they would bring those copper rings up and put those rings over the section so that you could receive that energy at that heightened and to help with healing and stuff. Yeah, I mean, when you get deep into copper, it's some amazing, amazing stuff. I have tons of it. Love it.
It's magical, isn't it? I sleep with a tensor ring underneath my pillow when it doesn't fall out. So I'm trying to charge my brain up every day. But there's loads of these little tips, isn't it? It's not necessarily expensive. And the more that you do it, the more you'll be interested. So I would massively encourage people to research the doctors that Brandon has spoke about today, and to also research on Telegram. Is there a particular Telegram channel or website or anything that you'd like people to go and have a look at?
Healthy Discussions is a great site. I know the owner of that Calculus Master class now. She's just a encyclopedia of knowledge. Self-Help Emporium, Healthy Dose of Truth. Will take you to several great channels that you can get great information on. And Hydrogen Water, you can find several channels there. People that are amazing.
Okay.
I mean, there's just a plethora of people out there, amazing people. You can find channels that just have nonstop people that will guide you in the direction on what you're looking for. But
One,
everything is in search and searchable.
well, search and searchable. So thank you very much, by the way, to the channels that are allowing this content to get out. We are very, very grateful. And we understand that the people that are censoring and the little programs that have been put in, you guys don't know any better. You know, this is just following orders. You're just following what you've been taught. That's great. At least we've got this information out. But eventually, we would love you to join us and find this truth out for yourself. But in the meantime, we thank you for hosting this. But for the real nitty gritty on actually how to implement it, we need to move off these platforms. But it is a great opportunity to help people move from one thing to another in terms of content and understanding the censorship and what's kind of behind all that. So while we wind things up now, your story is absolutely incredible. And I'm so pleased that you've shared it, how you've gone from what you were like as a child and you've reset yourself to what you were like as a child. You're a roughy, tufty guy, typical man's man, bloke, whatever. And now you've completely transformed your life and you can see the benefits of it. You didn't do it because you had to, and didn't do it for any other reason, but you did it because as you started on the journey, you now love doing it. And I am so personally grateful for all the efforts that you are doing to encourage other people to move along this path. And on behalf of humanity, thank you very much for everything you do, Brandon. And is there anything that you would say to the people listening to this now who might just think it's a bit of hard work? How can we encourage them to at least start this process?
That's a tough one. I would say just take it one day at a time. Everybody, I think, at this level of the things that are going on, I see there's a pattern of things that is not for the benefit of us. I mean, the food system, all of that information is coming out. So just seek information. It's all there. You can go to any platform and punch in search under the reels or whatever. Look up nutrition. Look up Dr. Robert Morse and the amazing work that he's done, and Jason Vale out of Vegetable Fast, and the results that he gets with people with living electrical food. It's just beyond amazing. I mean, I don't think that we need to say that black swans don't exist when there's thousands of them all around us. We just need to seek them out and say that and search for these little keywords and say, okay, I need to know this a little bit more. I need to understand this a little bit more, even if it's not for yourself. We all have children. We all have grandchildren, nieces, nephews. We're all in this together. We all learn together.
Thank you so much for sharing that inspiration. And it's been absolutely amazing having you on. Your story is incredible. Surviving a gunshot, going through all that trauma your whole life, and really being a beacon of light to everybody. So grateful to have you on. Thank you so much for your time, Brandon.
I appreciate it. And same to you. I've watched your work and I've watched your videos on the water and your water program and everything you speak of. And you're doing the same thing. It's helping everybody that we can possibly reach and get the messages out that they need to receive.
Together, we are all stronger. So thank you very much, everybody listening to the Crystal Water Experience podcast today. If it's inspired you to find out more, please look at the show notes where I'm going to put some links to try and help you find this information more easily. But please remember, you are really, really important. The healthier you are, the more you're going to be able to do and help everybody else. It is one of those things. It's like putting your mask on first before putting the one on next to you. You can't emphasize enough how important you are, how much we value you, that You need to look after yourself, and we're trying to do our best here to help you along that journey. So thank you for everything that you're doing to help raise the consciousness of humanity and help the people around you. We're sending you much love, and we hope that you can join us next week for the next episode of the Crystal Water Experience podcast. Thank you, everyone.